Live.
Hey everyone! Thanks, Greg.
We were supposed to tell you beforehand.
Yeah, you were supposed to. But it's all good. Happy Sunday. So today, I wanted to do a follow-up to the video we had yesterday.
Whoa, it snowed.
A little bit.
That's changed since yesterday.
But I wanted to show you the end of the drawer for those of you that asked. And then I've kind of taken my top 5 tips because there's lots of questions. And also somebody, or lots of you actually, asked where these cabinets came from. So we covered this in the studio tour last week. You can go back and check out more info. But these are IKEA kitchen pantry units. And the reason I really like them is I can customize them any way I want. So here I have these open. We talked about the fact I do have doors, but I don't put them on. And then you can customize the size of the drawers you want. So I have 2 big ones that store stamps and dies, and then 2 smaller ones on top. So this is the finished adhesive. Is
there any particular reason why the one on the right is shorter than the one on the left?
Yeah, I messed up when I ordered it. Thanks, Greg, for pointing that out.
No problem. I don't know if anybody else can see that, but they're 2 completely different sizes.
And you're covering the microphone again, too.
Am I? Where's my... Oh, I've done something wrong. No, I'm good. Sorry. My bad.
Can't get the videographers these days. So this is the finished adhesive drawer from yesterday. So you can see how it came out. So I'll kind of talk you through how it ended up. So I managed to fit all of my tape runners in here, which was great because it took up way less room in here as well. And then I have all of my foam pieces here. My foam tapes are over here, and there's some staple gun staples underneath. Liquid adhesives back here. Tape adhesives. Adhesive pens, glue pens, and then like my Connect glue and my lawn fawn glue, alcohol prep pads and syringes that I use for adhesives, all my glue dots, my ATG refills, my red tape go in here really nicely. This is some mixed media tape, and here's a tip. So this came in really nice packaging, but I didn't have room for the packaging. So what I did was I took the important part, which is what that it says, mixed media art tape, and I just folded that up and put it inside the spool, and of course now it takes up way less room. And it fits in my space. I can't remember how I had it in there, but something like that. And then here I have glue sticks. So these are my fat glue sticks, my thin glue sticks. So again, just works for me really, really well. And I can find everything. So that's the finished adhesives drawer. But this morning I'm going to share my top 5 storage tips with you. So if you're looking to organize your crafty space, then I've got my top 5 tips. Number 1 is label everything. Now for me that's even more important because there are multiple people who use my craft room, but even so I just find I put things back in the right place because I know where they go and I haven't forgotten. So this is something I did yesterday. I labeled, it's my little flower Tilly made me. So background stamps and turnabouts, foil toner sheets, flock sheets, foil adhesive sheets, stencils, tin pins down at the back here, acrylic blocks. Over here I added paper scraps, embossing folders, vinyl scraps, and 6x6 paper pads. And if you look at any of my drawers, and Greg can walk around and show you, you'll see that they all have labels on them. I'm going to go through today, just update a couple, so I've filled in a few new things. But every drawer is labelled with what goes in it, and that means that things tend to stay out. Even my ink pad drawers are labelled by brand, so I know my Simon Hurley inks are here, my Altenew and Avery Elge inks are over there in that drawer. So that is my number 1 tip, is label everything. Even if you have a really small space, even my Hedgehog carts have labels. Copics, Yaffa Calligraphy, Zig and Aqua Painters. So even small things in my room still get a label on them. So I really, really suggest just label everything because then you'll know where it goes. Okay, number 2 on my list is organising like with like. So for me, I have my Nouveau wall. So all my Nouveau stuff goes together. So I know exactly where it all goes. And you can see, like, you know, all my mousses are here. I segment out like expanding mousse, but they're still together. All my embossing powders go together. And I have an embossing powder drawer for non-Nouveau. All my Nouveau drops go together. I might segment them out by category, but they all go together. Along the back wall, you know, you see all of my Distress Oxide sprays. I like rainbow tizing. But you can really do it any way that works for you. And for me, I like it on display. You might like it put away. And if you like it put away, then again, you can go back to one of my drawers, same thing. So all my cardstock goes in here. All the pre-cut white basic stuff goes in here. And I know that all of that is together. You know, my drawers here are labelled, so all my Crayola is together. All my Prisma pencils are together. So just organising like with like. And if you don't like having it on display, you can still organise a drawer. So, you know, my foil drawer looks really nice. You know, I can still open it and I can see everything. This is my Wow embossing powder drawer. So this is my overflow, but also my foils with their bonding powder. These molds go with the melted powder and the little trays that you need to go with them. And then all my other powders are underneath. Again, by like with like. So that's it. So even if you're putting things away in drawers, you saw the adhesives drawer. This is the embossing powder drawer. So all of the Ultinew is here. All of my Gina K is here. All of my Rita Barakat is here. These are all Avery L and Lawn Fawn. These are all Ranger, these are all Ranger, and these are all of my different embossing inks. So again, everything is kept together.
And you store all of these upside down so that you can see the colours rather than just the lids, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise you can't really see.
Yeah, so the ones like these that have the solid white lids, you can't necessarily see. Whereas if I have it like this, I know that this is white or clear. I just have to pick up and determine which.
What are these? With the
These are my Nouveau ones, and these are the ones I use all the time. So I've taken about 3 packets, and I put them into a little Tupperware, and I have a command hook that holds my spoon in top, and then, you know, they're just...
With a label. So you've got the Tupperware holding it together, you've got the spoon to serve it out, and you've got a label of what it is for every single one.
Yes.
So you just grab them and go.
Yep. And then my next tip is organise how you work. Now that kind of sounds a bit funny, but what I mean is think about your workflow process. So for me, if I'm using my Cricut, which is over on that workspace here, then underneath here, I have everything I'm going to use with my Cricut. I have all my Cricut supplies. I have all my 12 by 12 papers. I have all my speciality items. So everything I need to go with that Cricut is near my Cricut. If I'm thinking about a stamp platform, so say I'm going to use my Misty, my stamp platform is in my top drawer, and all of the accessories are in there that go with it. My sticky grids, my little background sheets, my rulers, my Misty creative corners, everything goes in there. But underneath that, I have my easy clean mats, because if I'm using a Misty, I'm probably going to want a surface to work on. So I keep those two together. If I'm going to use paints, you'll find all my paints are kept together over here. So we have paint brushes and airbrushes and gel press, because it's the same kind of thing. And then watercolours, metallic watercolours, watercolour tubes and supplies, acrylic paint. So everything is kept together. And then mixed media bases and Jane Davenport are right there too. So I'm organising how I use it. So I think about how I create and my creation process, and I keep everything together. So that's my next top tip. The other one is containers, containers, containers. So whether you like to keep things on display like this, and so for me these narrow shelves are perfect, or something like, you know, my paper holder that I just showed you, or if you like to put things away, it can be really simple containers. So it could just be like, you know, these IKEA boxes are amazing. I store all sorts of things in these. I have little containers like this. This is my new cardstock to be used next. So these are new colours to me, and I'm going to want to use these next in my creation. I also have a box over there that says to be labelled and to be used first. So new things that I want to use in videos. All of those kinds of things. So whether it's just a tiny container like this, the pull-out ones that I keep my cardstock in, and of course it keeps it looking really nice and in rainbow colours, but it also makes it really easy to grab. Even inside of things like my carts. So my Copic cart has the Copic organizer in top. Underneath in my calligraphy, I have an art bin with all of my bottles in. Even in my yarn carts upstairs, all right, the bottom one's not so great, but thanks, Greg. But even in my yarn cart that I keep next to the sofa, I have lots of little containers. So like my knitting counters go in one, my needles for assembly go in another, and so on and so on. So containerizing things and labeling them, you'll find that it just makes it easier, or it does at least for me. So that's my number tip. The last tip I have, number 5, is be prepared to change it. What you do first might not work for you. For instance, my stamps, I've been through organising them by type, by brand, by all sorts of different things, stamps and dies separately, until I found a system that worked for me. But I have changed this room so many times, but I'll tell you, even since we built it in, I move things around. Like I recategorized my tonic papers. These all used to be completely in rainbow order. And I found that that didn't work for me, so I couldn't find things. So I did handmade papers. So if I want something with texture, I know I want to go to this section. Then I did my foil, like the metallic and the brushed metals. So I know if I want some bling, I go there. Then I have all my glitter cardstocks. Then I have like the speciality craft foiled cardstocks and those kinds of things, my grey board. So if I want something more sturdy, or I want to add that texture in, I know exactly where to go. And then my coloured stuff is all along this wall here from Tonic. So again, I can just find everything, and I have the 12 by 12 in with the 8.5 by 11, and then I put a plastic pocket in the top that I put any extras in, and I've cut the side and the top off of those, so if they're bigger pieces, they still fit in there. But that goes on the top, and then if you want to use that colour, we always go to the scraps first. Any kind of little scraps just go in that scrap bin just for as and when, but it has to be like a card front size scrap, and then it goes into that piece there.
How could you store 12 by 24 cardstock if you don't have an IKEA near you?
So my 12 by 24 I actually just store down here. So my bigger pieces of cardstock are actually just slid between my Alex and my pantry. I have a little slit here. I have another one over in the other corner that stores all of like my mats, so all of my cricket mats and all those things just slide in down the side here. But yeah, 12 by 24 and those bigger pieces of paper are really hard to store, but I'm lucky to have a few like quite neat, like couple of inch size cubbies. There's another one.
Things like down there.
Quilt ruler goes down there. So I'm really lucky to have those kinds of things. But I don't really have a perfect solution for those. They are tricky things to store. The only thing I ever found that really worked for me is we have some wire units from Home Depot. I used them years ago with my craft thing. Those shelves are big enough for you to lay out 12 by 24 pieces of cardstock.
Can I also offer number 6 in your top 5?
Go on.
You always need more storage than you have stuff.
Yes.
However
You're
much,
always going to get more.
however much stuff you've got, when you're planning out what you're going to store it in, assume you've got about 50% more stuff and store that much so you have capacity for more things.
Because this room was like 3/4 full when we did it about a year ago. And I'm lucky I have a basement so I can like rotate things and put them down there. And I do have an overflow like storage area down there, but we're not going to get into that because Greg doesn't see that very often. So I have that in the basement, and this just kind of keeps the stuff I'm using. But I got to the point where this was full, so the counters were constantly full. So now Greg had to build me shelving in the cupboards outside of my room by the front door. So we don't have any coat cupboards anymore. We have 2 crafty storage cupboards. But yes, always have room for expansion. And be prepared that things won't work. Like, you will have to redo things. My adhesive drawer wasn't working for me, so I changed the containers up. Now it looks really great, and I'm really pleased with it. But just those kinds of things, they are my top 5 tips, so I'll recap them quickly.
6.
6 tips. 5 and 1 bonus tip. So label everything, store like with like, and whether that's on display, for me, I love to have things on display, or whether that's put away, and you can think how your crafty process goes. Organize it how you use it. So I've shown you how my Cricut stuff goes near where my Cricut sits. My papers are organized a certain way so I know where to look for them. All my adhesives are done, but even within adhesives I have those subcategories. Containers, really, really important. I mean, even something simple like background papers. I have this little art bin, which is not designed for this at all, but it's labeled background papers, and inside is any time I've created like an alcohol ink piece of paper, or maybe I've done some marbling, you know, anything I create in a video that I'm like, oh, I might want to use that later on. They all go in here, and then if I'm looking for a background paper, I'll always go to ones I've made first. Next tip was be prepared to change it. It's not going to be perfect first time. Last tip, Greg's bonus tip, is always have more storage than you think you need, or more storage than you have stuff, because you're going to buy more stuff. So they are our top tips. If you have any questions, of course, you can leave them in the comments below. A couple of other things I wanted to tell you about though. So we are the official media partner for Creativation. Ali and I fly out next Tuesday to start building our booth. Woohoo! We have a booth. So you can get all the behind the scenes info. We're also working on whether we can do something like a permanent live stream from the show floor, so you can see those kinds of things going on, but we'll keep you posted on those. And remember to hit subscribe, ring the bell, but during Creativation, with the amount of videos we get to do, you might not get notifications for all of them, so you want to make sure you keep checking the channel. There are now YouTube stories, so if something fun's going on or we're about to upload something to the channel, you'll find we'll tend to post something up there first, so you can check those out. And then, of course, don't forget to join our membership program, because members will get even more exclusive Creativation content, and some of it earlier, and exclusive live streams and all those kinds of fun things. You can hit join below. It really does help us as creators, plus we give you tons of benefits as well, including a birthday card, coupons, all of those kinds of things. And tomorrow I'm going to be on the local news, and I'm giving away another Cricut. So if you go to our Instagram page right now, you can enter to win a Cricut Sport Air 2. But if you come back tomorrow on our Instagram and Facebook page, we're going to combine all the entries, And there'll be a Cricut Maker, an infusible ink bundle, and an easy press on there as well. So hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of value in that. So stay tuned to hear all about our news experiences, and of course to enter to win that on both platforms. We'll be at the Hedgehog Hollow, and I can see Greg is itching to
We
say
had a
something.
question. Where did we get the shallow shelves?
The shallow shelves are Lowe's,
You made
and
them.
they come pre-stained. They're actually supposed to be siding, like for rooms, the same backing stuff as this. But there's these, and then you can buy narrower pieces, and I stacked 2 so that I can have a back and a front and expand the amount I get out of my shelf. So that's what it is, and these little L brackets you can get at Lowe's, and the same as the shelf is what they're attached to. So exactly the same, so really simple. But if you go watch last week's studio tour, my dream craft room tour, you can find out all the info. We went through all the shelves, and we went through all of my kind of storage in a bit more depth and some of the labeling. But today was just those top 5 tips. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow from Cleveland News. I'll see you then.